Hare Krishna. We're going to discuss a few verses in the third chapter, beginning. So Arjuna's question is, Tatkim karma gore mam niyojesh keshava. Oh Krishna, if intelligence is better than the fruitive work, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? So Arjuna's understanding, of course, as trying to show as a common man's understanding, Arjuna is representing the common man, that the spirituality means retiring from the active work and probably retire to a secluded place, some ashram, and maybe read the scriptures and discuss philosophical topics. That is the understanding. So, for that, Arjuna's question answer is Nacha sannyasana sama adhigachati. Nacha sannyasana. So, just by renouncing alone, one would not become perfect. So, in the verse following this verse, Krishna says, Mityacharasa uchate, means one who restrains the senses but whose mind is dwelling on the sense object is called a pretender. It's a pretty strong word, right? From the so-called the religious perspective, oh, one who is controlling the senses and fasting, doing austerities, this sounds very great. From the spiritual angle of vision, it has no value unless it leads to the bhakti. So, in the fourth chapter, the Lord says, the austerity, charity now lead to the knowledge. Knowledge will lead to the understanding of the Supreme Lord. So, eventually, everything will end in the Supreme Lord alone. So, and the Lord's very important instructions about the modes of nature is Naikached kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit karitehi avasa karma sarva prakrujir gunaihi. Krishna beautifully explains that the jiva cannot be quiet even for a moment. And how he acts? Avasa karma means helplessly, as if something is pushing him. So, what is that pushing? Is the modes of nature which he acquired up until that moment is going to push him. Like everybody knows in the morning calls, right? As soon as they get up, they go to bathroom, and there is a pushing. So you could hold off for some time, but then when it is urgent, you have to rush to the bathroom. You are helpless, even if you want to control. So these modes of nature is so strong and they cannot restrain. Sometimes out of social compulsion, out of some ambition, out of some motivation, maybe we will hold off our habits. But at the opportune moment, it pushes the person. Avasa karma. In the following verses, like 27th verse, something like that, Lord says, Prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti mannite. So the Lord, starting with these words, uh, sarva prakrujir gunaihi. So it's very, very important how these modes of nature pushes the person to do the activities, even he's unwilling to do. So if you go to the top of the bridge, right, you stand and you drop the mobile by accident, not by intention. So the mobile slips off from your hand, and then you stare at the mobile helplessly. You can't do anything about it, isn't it? You can't do anything but just to stare at the consequence. So the mobile gets dropped onto the water and you will just be the spectator. So this falling of the mobile from your hand onto the water is like the action done by Jiva in a helpless condition. One will be keep watching them. So whatever one develops from previous lives in this life will be exhibited when the opportune moment comes. right? So how do I can give few examples. When I was working in Michigan, I used to have a colleague who is sitting behind me, and there is always quarrel with somebody else, and the QA people would come and fight with her, and the developers will come and fight with her, and this always goes on. And they said, "This is not my problem. This is not my mistake." So the people will always come and fight, right? And even manager used to come, and she used to fight with them. And one day she told me, you know what? If somebody says anything little unfavorable, immediately I have to blast them, and then I'll think what happens next. So this is the modes of nature one acquired, and they will exhibit. There are many aspects of this: jealous, intolerance, right? And enviousness and anger, so many other aspects. So the one would develop and exhibit without their control, right? Helplessly, they would exhibit them. So it's very important to analyze. Then, what is the solution, right? Just by one's mental strength alone, just by religious activities, ritualistic activities alone would not make one overcome this. There is a beautiful verse in fifth chapter. Kayena manasa buddhya kevala indriyarapi yoginam karma kurvanti sangam tektatma shuddhaye. The yogis perform the activities using senses only for the purpose of purification. Tektatma shuddhaye means only for the purpose of purification. So our activities should aim towards purifying the heart, not for any other purpose. Oh, I'm doing so many activities, right? I'm doing puja from morning till evening. I'm great, but एतावान् साङ्ख्ययोगाभ्यां सुधर्मा परिनिष्ठया जन्मलाभा परापुंसा ante narayana smriti. So any activities one performs, whether yoga, meditation, all kinds of activities, any other process will be tested if one is able to chant Narayana at the end of life. So what is needed is the purification of the heart. And how does the purification of heart happens? By engaging in the devotional service. केचित् केवलया भक्त्या वासुदेवापरायण अघं दुन्वन्ति कार्ष्णेया निहारं इव भास्करा. As the sun rises in the eastern horizon, the fog and mist will be evaporated immediately. Similarly, as soon as the Lord's name is um, established in the core of the heart, immediately all anarthas will be eradicated along with its roots. That is very, very important. So that's why one has to perform the devotion service properly and as per the rules and regulations, not for the sake of following them, but for the sake of purification. It is also important that one should note, one should perform for the purpose of purification. So this verse, Lord explains very beautifully about the modes of nature, the importance of modes of nature. So any process that doesn't take the modes of nature into account will not be successful. That's why Lord immediately explains, Avasa karma sarva prakrujir gunaihi. So you will exhibit your modes of nature. So just by taking sannyas, but just by changing the dress alone would not make one perfect. So one has to work towards it and engage in the devotional service. So we're gonna discuss much more topics in the following discussions. Hare Krishna. Jai Shila Prabhupada.